least put out one video, do a live, because I told you guys I would if I didn't go fishing. So just wasn't ready. Plus, we did have rain. Like, it poured down here off and on throughout the day. So I guess actually this is the best kind of fishing weather. You got to go out and get a little wet here and there, and maybe jump back in the truck and go back and forth. But anyway, figured I'd break out the Fireball now this afternoon. It's actually, I don't know, what is it, 2, 3 o'clock? So one little shot of Fireball, and we're going to talk about some of the stuff I was messing with earlier this morning. Today, the boat, I've got everything ready. Rug burn, update on the channel. If you're here just for Chatterbaits, give me a second. Rug burn is not all the way fixed. The truck's never left me stranded. I could drive it halfway across the country and back, I'm sure, with no problem. But the minute you accelerate harder than, say, quarter to half throttle, it starts doing something. And I think, I'll be honest, I keep telling everybody, they look at it and they tell me different codes and they change stuff, which it's got a lot wrong with it. But I think it's the catalytic converters are clogging up. I think it's building up too much back pressure when you accelerate harder. But anyway, some of you know a little bit of mechanical stuff. It literally had, the plugs were toast because about 2 years ago, we put new plugs and coil packs in it. And we just did the whole thing this go around, new plugs, coil packs, and then we smoke tested the intake. Guess what? It leaked in 2 different spots. So replaced the intake. They're weird. Like, you don't just take off the intake. It's not an intake gasket thing. It's the intake leak. So anyway, got that done, and it still has this issue. I'm pretty sure the only thing left other than maybe a sensor here or there are the catalytic converters. But anyway, still runs fine as far as going fishing. So I'm going in the morning. I'm not 100% sure where. In the meantime today, my computer that I just went and bought also is not working right. It won't let me use DaVinci Resolve. It says the same thing. My something's not working right. Anyway, so I didn't even mess with calling that computer place. I'll probably mess with all that next weekend. It did work enough to let me take all the footage, get it off my GoPro SD cards and onto the computer, and then there's 2 or 3. One I dropped today, and they're just little short clips of me out fishing. Some of the stuff I've been talking about in live streams to show you guys what I was talking about, and they'll be coming out, I think, one tomorrow morning, tomorrow night, one Monday, and that's as far as I got. And I've got to get a video editor on there where I can actually put together a full half-hour, 45-minute of out fishing. What you're going to be seeing is 5 and 10-minute clips of just that GoPro, footage. But there's a lot of stuff, and a few of them are actually, I knew that was going to be the case, so I basically just started recording and stopped within 10 minutes to get something out there to you guys I know somebody might want to know. So, with all that said, all the boat is loaded up into rug burn, batteries, charger. I'm like literally ready to go, other than load my fishing gear in the morning and go hit somewhere. Probably Pogue, not sure. Might go somewhere else. But I figure I fish until I just get tired or too wet or too whatever tomorrow, because I think there's slight chances of rain tomorrow too. But the weather is perfect for fishing. The temperature is perfect. It's like, could be hoodie weather, maybe not hoodie weather. Put your hoodie back on, back and forth. Just, I like that weather where it's, you're not chilly at all, but you might have your hoodie on or off, either or kind of thing. Perfect fishing weather with the slight rain coming and going. You guys should probably be out fishing if you're not like me and got all this other stuff you got to get caught up on. So, if you guys remember right, we just bought gobs of these, right? We bought a dozen of each color of these Thunder Crickets because they were $5 a piece if you bought them in bulk, and they're still on eBay. If I suggest, if you guys want to, that's kind of why I'm putting this video out today. If you guys still want to get on there and pick up some Thunder Crickets, and I'll show you just an idea. I just got started. This is just an idea of what you can do to change up, even though, because they're selling in bulk, you got to buy all of one color, like a dozen and the 5/8. So I'll show you some color options. I'll show you some options to changing the weight of those Thunder Crickets also. But the funniest thing is, and I didn't even mean it to come out like this, but I was trying 2 different ways to take some weight off the 5/8 to get them into a half. And I got the Dremel cut off, and let me show you the bit. I can't remember the name of it, but so The best bit I found for just removing lead fairly quick is one of these deals, whatever that is. I can't remember the name of it. But that dude right there will just flat take the lead like off very quick and last forever. The bit does and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of took my time. And I'll show you this one in a second. I took my time on this one and kind of I wanted it to take off some material, but kind of keep it round. And I want to try to take it just off the belly because I'll keep the silverish looking head. So I kind of did that, and then I thought, well, what if I just, take that bit and just, like burrow out the bottom and not even worry about it. And it's because it's kind of quicker anyway. And then there's less area to have to worry about covering up with paint. Technically, I don't even know if you would have to cover it back up with paint. So I did that. And what came out was this crazy looking bait that I'm going to show you in a second. And if you already saw the header thing, I thought it looked pretty cool. So what we're talking about here these are the two colors that I got, but you can get the bruiser, you can get black and blue. There's several other colors. This is the blue craw or something, but it's got the blue on the front, but then just this kind of what I call it like a frog color, green pumpkin-y type deal going, and then the mouse color, which is because of just a silver with a little hint of I think there's some blue fleck in there. Let me see if I can get the camera. Yeah, see that little hint of like blue fleck. And this bait is untouched, and you see they don't look 100% put together, like say as well as what these Evos. We all kind of got spoiled by this bait right here. So anybody that's ever bought the Evos or the Evo Minis and just how well they initially look put together, but you don't need that fancy to catch. Fish don't care about your feelings either, just like facts, right? It's not up to you just how awesome you think that finish and everything is. A lot of times just that funky looking bait, it's just the action in a certain color maybe any given day. So anyway, that's what they look like to start out with. And so I kind of progressed through on the mouse, and I'll show you some of those. And then this one, I just did a few different ones. I just basically just pulled the skirt off, slapped on the, you can either use like any kind of bluegill, but this is either a bluegrass, and this one's actually the Hollywood craw, which is very similar to the bluegrass. Just to kind of take it instead of just a green pumpkin-y look, to give it a little bit of a bluegilly look, but it also could just be, is that a crawdad? Is it a bluegill or what kind of thing? And you could always just take the orange off the belly and that kind of thing, or just fish it just like this. Or you can also put, I didn't do it yet, and I don't know. I'll just show you. What I had in my mind, I just didn't, is you could just slap a whole different blue on it if you just want to darken it up. So there's a lot of options, even because you could have a dozen of these heads if you want them for $5 a piece. So for me, I don't really need a bunch of colors, so I've kind of went overboard already. But if you're just starting out and you're wanting to build up on some chatterbaits, and you're traditionally thrown the originals, you're the guy that doesn't want to buy the $17 jackhammers, even the $10 mini maxes and stuff, right? You're just like, dude, like, do they sell $5 chatterbaits? Yeah, but you got to buy them in bulk, and they're actually very awesome chatterbaits. And so you're not as worried about if you lose one or not, but you might want to also pick up some extra skirts if you don't have any, and you could buy and literally take that dozen. You could change out and make it to where you wouldn't need to buy any other colors. You can work off of a couple different basic things. So anyway, I finally ended up with this dude. I'm going to show you him, then we'll go through this little progression. But this guy, I just hollowed out the bottom, and it looks so weird. I'm like, it kind of looks like a mouth. So I just painted the inside and then added like that dot to make it look more like a tongue. So I got my little Screaming Thunder Cricket. And that is a Z-Man, just that regular bluegill skirt with a bunch of these pulled out to try to just kind of thin it down because the one it came with is fairly thin and lightweight, and these Z-Man ones, they come pretty thick. Like there's what they start out as. There's a lot of material. They weigh like twice as much as the one that comes on this. So this one doesn't, I didn't get it down that small, but I got it down for two reasons, the weight, and I wanted to change the color a little bit, and I still may take most of those brighter bottom colors out. I haven't decided yet, but we've got our little Screaming Thunder Cricket. Just cut that out. We'll talk about weight here in a minute, and I'll weigh some of them up. Compared to over here is a actual half-ounce jackhammer. So those were just to show you some of the color options, and then you could also, before we jump to the full color of these and the weight, you could also take this dude right here and get these. They sell these skirts if you wanted that sort of that bee height delight sort of look, and you may have to pull out a few strands here and there to get it closer to that. This one's kind of faded and worn out, and actually I think it's better once they get to that point. But there's all kind of skirts, and honestly you could probably put this type of skirt on either head. I just haven't done it yet. I'm probably definitely going to put one on one of these, even though I don't really need. I've got like almost 200 chatterbaits now probably, but that would make a good, if you want one a little bit heavier, you don't want to mess with taking weight off, just you want a 5-ounce bee height delight type deal in a Thunder Cricket. I forget the name of this color. I want to say Summer Craw, but I could be wrong. It's basically just got some green pumpkin, some brown, and then chartreuse, and then that white stuff. But they're pretty easy to navigate. Look on Tackle Warehouse and find any different color. You usually get a 5-pack for $5. Some of them have like 3 packs for $2.99 or different things. But if you want to it's as simple as just popping it off and popping one back on to switch out the colors. To literally make this like a whole different color than what this is, right? I mean, you could just put a copper truce zinkers on this. You could do a lot of different, just add a trailer, but if you want the bait to already be standing out more bright wise, and then add you'd actually go the opposite way, put this on, but then just add a green pumpkin or one of these kind of trailers just to change it up. You can try all different what you call it once you get your kind of different chatterbait colors going. I was going to show you that you could almost get by with it on this one. Like if I put it on this guy, I may take out some of the darker colors and leave the brighter colors. So like you could go buy a 5-pack of these, put a couple on the green pumpkin one, maybe even pull some of the brighter colors out just to leave it a little dull, or you could put it on this guy, pull out the dark colors just to have a brighter, sort of like a spot remover, kind of look going. Pull a lot of those dark colors off the top, spread them out a little bit because they're probably heavier than what it came with anyway, kind of deal. Just thoughts. So on this guy, I started out, I was like, well, I mean, because I'm going to leave each one of these. I'm going to take each one of these in the stock colors and try them. But then one of these colors, I haven't decided which one yet. And I may try multiple ones. But all I did on this one was I basically flipped it, pulled like quite a few of the darker top end strands and added just a little more wider color on the belly than what this one had. So it looks very close. I mean, and it's simple to, it takes like a second just to add a few more colors to it. But then this one, wait a minute, I got them mixed up, I think. Maybe it's this one I added. Okay, this one, hang on, I got them mixed up. This one is stock. I don't even know. Who did that? Somebody came down and did it. That's the stock one. As you can tell, some of these colors are so subtle, it's hard to just tell. Probably doesn't matter. But if you look on the belly of these, some have, this one has a lot less of the dark color and a lot brighter. Just brighten it up just a little bit. I think that's probably my favorite of just a natural looking one. This one's just got a couple strands and a lot less. It's like the lightest of the all of them. But then this is the one I talked about and I showed you guys. We added just a touch of a yellowish chartreuse color, right, to get it kind of getting close towards a spot remover look. And that's probably the simplest way, just to modify it slightly, add a couple strands in, and you just have a, just an added color in there, a little pop. That way when you go with you put something like that on the back, and just, you've got more of a, what I call a true like crappie type imitation, or you could go with something different, more like a, I don't have one out here, but more like an electric shad or something, and just stay with kind of a more natural deal. But then the one that I lightened, I just went ahead and I kind of made a custom skirt, and I'll show you guys how I also jack with these skirts in case you don't follow the channel and don't know. But this is the one I took off, and I'll show you the weights here in a little bit. I took off roughly a gram and a half off this guy, and I just did it all right here, about where you can kind of see that off-white color is where I just trimmed it down. It's really hard to tell that I took a lot off, and I didn't take a lot off, but then I kind of added a few different colors to this skirt. If you look at it, there's even some like gold and white off of their golden shiner Z-Man bait that I had. I bought one that I think it was this guy. It was originally a golden shiner. So I had that skirt, so I peeled some of those off. I've got some of the ones that we took off from this guy on it, and all I did was I added like 3 from the golden shiner of the lightest color, 3 of those yellowish ones, chartreusey ones, and I added some white, kind of that just a little whiter than what it came with on the belly, and then I did the same thing on the other side, just to, so like the difference from the two, from like how it started to where it's at here, is definitely, you can see it like kind of lightened it up. So it's not a huge drastic difference, but if you're gonna, in my opinion, I like this one better than I like this. So like a mouse, and like could be any kind of bait fish, including crappie, and it's a little lighter. So let's talk about, and if you have any questions about like, well, what about if, this color or that color? I mean, it's up to you. The limitations are as far as what skirt you've added to those, dozen of one same color because you need to change up colors. That's honestly up to you. So let's talk about the weight of these chatterbaits. This doesn't really do a skirt making and customizing the baits, but for those of you that, if you follow the channel, I got all these different chatterbaits. So I wanted to, since a lot of people don't go back and watch the previous live streams, if you didn't catch when I was weighing a lot of these various baits, the jackhammers, the thunder crickets, the knockoffs, and even the Z-Man, big blade, the customs, the originals. It's just like in rods. So like medium heavies, not all medium heavies are created equal, right? And neither are the weights of these baits and what they say they are. If you buy a ½ ounce from one company, it's going to probably be different than the other ones, right? And even from the same company, some of these don't add in. They'll weigh just the head, and that's what makes it a quarter, ½ ounce, 3/8, whatever. And some of them weigh the total bait finished setting on a scale, right? So there's some variances. So a lot of times if you're out fishing, and then the blade itself, the shape of the blade will have a difference on where it's going to ride. So the weight, how thick the skirt is, and the blade itself, all 3 of those really play a part in where that bait rides at a certain retrieve, right? So I'm just going to give you guys a heads up on why some of these I want some of them to stay the 5/8 because they run down a little bit, and that Thunder Cricket I think lets them ride just a little lower than what the standard Z-Man blade does. It's got a little less resistance to it. So I wanted to just show you first of all what these weigh, let me get the scale out far enough, because even the same baits saying they weigh 5/8 are very close, but you can get a difference just by how much, what color skirts they use, because we'll weigh a couple of these. These are all rated as 5/8, and so are some of these over here. But so, hopefully you can read that scale. Just that mouse color is 17.5, and I think that's blue craw, is 17.1. So it's almost half a gram difference just between those two, and they've got pretty lightweight skirts. Z-Man doesn't use a ton of skirt material, or Z-Man. Strike King doesn't use a ton of material, and they keep it fairly short. It's already like pretty much like these are definitely like they're right out of the box. You just start fishing them. They don't really need, in my opinion, trimmed up or anything done to them. They already kind of have that thinned out deal going for them. So here is another stock. This is exactly the way it come. I haven't fished it, done anything with it yet. That's the spot remover with the gold blade. Now the blade possibly could be a different color. So 18.2. These are all 5/8, and so what was the lightest one was? Is that right? 17.1. Yeah, 17.1. That scale's old, and it came from AliExpress. That skirt material didn't want to stay on. 18.2. So it is over a gram heavier. Now I know what you're saying. That doesn't make a huge difference. It doesn't really. That's that little bit, but I'm just showing you there's a difference in the skirt material and that kind of stuff. So when you get into the half-ounce stuff, let me put these back. That's why I kind of cut these down a little bit to change them up more, see what they weigh compared to, you know, the other baits. So if you go with a Z-Man jackhammer, and that is, you can still make it out roughly the half-ounce version. Now it's lost a little weight. This dude's been to the gym like multiple times. It's missing some of the paint, so it definitely would have weighed a little bit more. It weighs 16 even, so it would have probably been 16.2 or who knows, a little bit over that. So the Strike King, that's their half-ounce. This one's been fished, but just briefly, not a lot. This one's brand new, hasn't been fished, but it definitely, the skirts are roughly the same. So their half-ounce is only 15. Let's set that dude over there. 15, 15.1. Those are pretty close. That's the only two half-ounce that I bought from Tackle Warehouse. So if you remember right, 15 on those, this dude is 16. So 1 gram, even though they're both considered half-ounce. I'm sure this one was probably weighed just the lead in the head, and then the other stuff, more than likely, maybe the head and the blade, you know, before the skirt. But the skirts only weigh, what do the skirts weigh? I had all this down. Skirts aren't created equal either, but they don't weigh a ton. Well, that little dude weighs 1.5. So yeah, they're probably doing it. And these skirts that you buy, because they're not really pre-cut or anything, they're like a gram heavier than the Strike King ones, already kind of thinned out and ready to go. So that's probably the difference before and after the skirt kind of deal is when companies weigh them. So the crazy AliExpress ones, that's the Nobi one. It is like, it's up there. So it weighs 17.6. And it's considered, it's like their step up half-ounce. They even try to call it a half-ounce. If you really look hard, you'll see where it says half-ounce. But it, compared to our stock 5/8 ounce, are the same. Like these weigh the same, a little bit different hooks. But so the 5/8 ounce aren't really I guess they're not what I would consider a true, and then these aren't true half ounce. Those aren't really true 5/8 ounce, in my opinion. So let's see where we got these guys cut down to. This one screaming at you. He is a little lighter, so let's just see if that dude right there. And I made that skirt more or less, so I kind of got her trimmed up, but it's got definitely a little more material than what this thing came with. So one more time, jackhammer 16 half ounce, only 15 on the actual Strike King. But so this one would be closer to a jackhammer. So I got this guy back to the weight of the actual what you call it one. 17, because I added paint, skirt, and all that. But what was this one? Yeah, 17.6. So I only shaved off about half a gram. And then this dude, let's see where we got him to. Get most of those hairs on there. 16 something. 16.8 to 16. So we've lightened them up just a little bit, and you could always go lighter, heavier, whatever, but 17. I actually like them somewhere around this guy in what I consider what I like the half ounce, what I've always known the Z-Man Original. I guess let me see if I've got a Z-Man Original. Well, let's weigh a few others while we're weighing. So here's a half ounce big blade. So it weighs 16.6, but that big blade, it's going to ride up higher once you start rolling it around. The funny one that weighs like probably heavier than all of them. I just want to show you some of the weights on some of these. This is the custom, and I believe this is what they called 5/8. Maybe it was 3/4. I can't remember now. This dude is the heaviest one I have, 22.7. I've got a couple others that get close. I think that's the heaviest chatterbait I have, 22.7. I think this is supposed to be a half ounce. No, this may be yeah, 14. I think that's the 3/8. That's the custom or the pro, or maybe that's the pro one. So the actual here is a jackhammer, but with the aftermarket skirt on it. That's a dirty jig skirt. It weighs 17.3. So half ounce with an aftermarket skirt, which is kind of what this is, 17.3. Yeah, so basically I've cut it down to where it's roughly close to a proportion of what the jackhammer head weight is, just by taking some of that material out. But they're not that far off. Like that is a stock one. This is a half ounce. I think it still says it, maybe, if you guys can see it there. With just a dirty jig skirt, so roughly about the same. So I guess the whole point of that and the weight thing is if you're, because I think these are almost too light for, like, when you're in the mindset of like, well, let's throw a half ounce so I can get down a little deeper. Well, they're 15, right? Well, that's what our, they're within a few grams of what our very lightweight Nobi ones are, which are the lightest I've got. But then when you get into the jackhammer knockoffs that are supposed to be that lighter weight, they're only 15.3 also. So even though these are the little guys, and then these say they're half ounce. It's just one of those things when you're out fishing. A lot of the different chatterbaits, some of them are. You'll wonder why. Like, why do those feel so much? A little bit different. Like they don't want to ride as high or low or whatever kind of thing. Hang on, let me read some comments. Yeah, as far as I know, I mean, I don't see how they could be a knockoff. I mean, it looks like it's definitely 100%. I'm guessing they got them in bulk and the 5/8 don't sell as well in a certain area or something. Because, I don't know how mass produced. I know Strike King mass produces their baits to what level to where they're just the excess. They got to bleed them off somewhere, and they end up that some places on eBay are selling them in bulk. If as long as you buy them by the dozen, you get them for $5 a piece. But they look and seem legit. Like, so, let's just look at that. So here are the two, with the skirts pulled off. That feels smooth, sharp, looks like the real deal. Uh, got the exact hookups, just like a Thunder Cricket. These here, all of these over here were bought, as legit, like from Rogers Sporting Goods or from Tackle Warehouse. So they're legit, and they look identical to the ones I picked up. This is one of them. I repainted the head. I didn't take any weight off. I just added some color to get it closer to a bluegill look. And then that is an actual, didn't change anything. I've just fished it enough to where I banged it around a little bit. Paint's coming off, but other than gold blade difference, everything else looks exactly the same. You do get different, just like if you order black and blue or the, what do they call it, the bruiser or whatever, the flecking will be different. So they don't just have one generic like pattern on their heads, if just on the green pumpkin thing. So this was originally, what color was this? I think this was just called green pumpkin, and I took the green pumpkin deal off and put on a more of a bluegill. That's actually I think that's just a bluegrass deal. But that was started out life as a gold-bladed green pumpkin in the 5/8, so it was only $5 at Rogers. This one was $5. It was the golden shiner with the gold blade, and then they're still right now. You can get these on Tackle Warehouse for $8.95, I think, for the spot remover and a 5/8. You can get the half ounce for $7.97 or something in this bone colored one, and I paid full price at, was it Rogers? I can't remember if I got that from Tackle Warehouse or Rogers, but full price for that half ounce. And then this is the oldest, probably known chatterbait for sure that I have, just because I bought back when the jackhammers first came out and everybody was raving about them. And I'm like, dude, they don't catch you any more fish than a Z-Man original. And everybody swore by them. So I bought like 4, and I still have 3. I think I lost one. This dude, I still use him periodically, but he's set in the tackle box. No sign of rust. Never sharpened the hook. Caught a bunch of fish and fished it a lot. You can tell just by how beat up it is. And just like but the Z-Man originals, I've still got a few floating around here somewhere. The black and blue colors, or that I've just the leftovers of them that tons and tons of fish caught, and they just never wear out. It's you lose them, then they're gone. Other than that, they'll last forever. You slap another skirt on them and just keep rolling. And that's one thing that it's hard to beat the Z-Man stuff. But so far, what I've seen with these Thunder Crickets, they're pretty good too. That's kind of why I went with this deal for $5 a piece. I'm not going to spend. They want like what originally $12.99 or $13.99 for a Thunder Cricket, and then the other tungstens are more money, and the gold blades were more. And like I'll get some when there's a deal on them, but I'm not spending that much money for them. But so far, I'm just over. Other than that one, the black and blue gold blade, all these others are no more than like a few of them for $8 or $9. Most everything else for $5. And I should never have to buy another Thunder Cricket as long as I live, unless I lose a bunch. Yeah, the blue. I mean, this color. That's what I said. I only I peeled this one off, but I only took like 3 others out to change because my plan is to just first of all try them. I've never thrown a mouse colored, a true mouse colored any bait other than an actual topwater mouse with the big tail. You know what I mean, like a swim bait deal. So I'm going to try that color, and then this color I know will work, just depending on what trailer on any given day. But just depends on how well I like it, because my favorite thing are these like almost subtle, which this one's got that little blue hue to it or whatever. So I'm thinking it's got to work pretty good just by itself. But I've already got a bunch of, I still have the one and another half dozen probably bluegill skirts, so. And then a bunch of skirt material. So before I get out of here, I do want to tell you guys real quick. If you watch the channel, you've seen this a bunch of times. You can get you one of these little tools. I can't even remember the name of it. You don't want to use anything sharp, just more like a rounded metal. You can even cut yourself down crappie jigs or something just to make a hook and loop type deal. I'm sure there's something in knitting you guys could track down. And the easiest thing would be to just go grab you, this is kind of a heavy duty one, but a paper clip, bend that around, and then just use that to slide it through and then pull the skirt material back. So it's real easy to do on, but it's easier off. So I'll just show you like a sample, and I'll do one just because it's so bright and easy to see, I guess. I'll do the black and blue. So while you've got them off is the easiest time, but all you have to do to add a color, and you can do it, I'll probably do one on just to show you too, but you just slide this through on the edge, however far, and then you don't have to go into huge detail, but just enough to where you got it, and then you can always pull or take away more. But just kind of pull that through, gently. I usually do it with like 2 to 4, and it doesn't stretch out quite as far, but just pull it through, and then if you've kind of measure it right, like you're already there, you're already at where it needs to go, right? So you just add the color right there, so you need to pay attention if you're wanting it on the tops, the side, bottom, if you're trying to make if I had something like this and I was wanting white on bottom, but I wanted to add a little orange to the belly, I would have just slapped it right in on the orange of the belly and done it like that. But if you pull these too hard, too fast, they will pop on you and break. And then some of them, some of the dirty jigs, they're just notorious. Mine anyway, they don't stay in there too long. But the same thing can be done by, let me see. Let me just grab, we'll just do this, dude. Just to show you, you can also just take this guy right here and be like, oh, well, look at that. I'll want to add orange to the belly of this bait, right? So, like I said, this rounded part, you're just going to want to start it somewhere. You don't even really have to start it where you want it. Oh, trying to do this through that camera is a joke. So just be careful. Get it started through there like that. Kind of get it roughly where you think you might want it. Now I recommend it at least 2 to 4 strands, but just for this purpose I'm going to start with this one. But same thing, if you got 1, 2, 3, 4 strands, you might have to hold it out a little further, but just get it a little bit out there, something like that, about an inch. And by the time you pull it through, you've pulled about roughly 2 inches through. Try to lift up on that ever so much, just to, whoa, get it started. I almost broke it right there, but then just pull it through. And then you've added that color to your bait real simply, and then whether you make one, you know, you just say you're taking one of these and you're, which I've done I don't know how many times, you're just adding different colors. You know, you can like pull half these strands out and then slowly add in some other strands. Use this to hold it all together, right? Use it like as a, you know, the building block kind of thing. But then you build up a skirt like you want, slide it on your bait. You know, if you're wanting to do the ultimate thing, would be to then slide it on your bait. Then, when it's on the bait, you could hold it, and all you really used was this to you know, keep everything together while you built the one and stuck it on. If you don't have your own jig, you know, if like you don't have a vise to hold it and kind of hand tie one on, you can just build one out of one of these bands, put it on like you. I've just about completely hooked myself, and then just in front of that band, then wrap and tighten and then tie off that, and then either just try to pull this off or just cut the band with like an X-Acto, and you've added a hand-tied skirt to, you know, you've truly customize your you know, could be a jig, chatterbait, whatever, any of these jig heads. And you can also do the same thing to smaller jigs. And technically, you could add it to a bait that wasn't really intended to if you just build it up with a little bit of thread. Like, you can do a lot of different stuff with your imagination and some extra skirt material, some thread, super glue. It doesn't take much. So anyway, that should be, I guess, all you... I don't want to leave that on there. One little hint of orange. No, it's just, I don't like it. One thing I don't like is if it looks like just one strand or string. I don't know. To me, it just reminds me too much of like, I don't know. I just never like just one strand of any color in there. I like 2 to 4. I like it to look like it's a thing instead of just a little streak. If it's a true streak look, I don't like that. So anyway, I took that dude back out. We're going to leave him just the way he is. So the custom brew tank's got our custom fireball. But the only other custom, since you guys are right here, and I've been talking about this bait forever, I'm just going to find it. So these are the ones we still have yet to find. Tomorrow I'm going to try to get out and use those little copper heads. Let me set those down. We've only got a couple customs left. We gave brew tank fireball. We've got, this isn't even really a custom, but I did take my, what used to be my favorite Z-Man color of a chatterbait, and I put it on one of these knockoffs and did the hand tie deal. So I slid it up, hand tied it with red thread, and just have him sitting around. He's just waiting around to be used. And then I just added that, basically, I call it peanut butter and jelly, but it's a different color, that live rubber to this head, and it's just one of those that I don't know if and when it'll get used, but it's definitely easy to do, and I still have, if it ever just kicks in the way it did on Charles that one day, I've got a few more of these floating around. I could always, you know, make up a couple more, like, real quick, no problem. I couldn't do it that day out on the water, but I could come home and do it. I don't carry all the skirting material around. But this guy, I went overboard. If you guys look at how many, like 30 jigs used to sell like a 50 or 60 strand or whatever, this has got to be more than that. This dude is insane. That's my black and bluegill. I'm gonna send to Brew Tank. I'm like, no, that is too much for Brew Tank. He can't handle this. I just wish, honestly, I would have done this on a green or actually a black head or a green at the brown. There's almost no brown in there. I mean, I can paint it, but that color should catch a fish. I've used it a few different times. I just don't have any confidence in that color right there. And I was going to pluck over half of that skirt material out and then re-glue the, the original tie when I tied it on. I'm just going to take half of the black and blue, half of this, which I think started out as the bayou, or not the bayou craw, the bluegrass maybe. But this bait, just look at how many strands it's got compared to that dude. See how thin those are and how not that many there are, and this dude's like a freaking this looks like a this is crazy, the difference in how those are. But this is definitely going to have like a crazy lift. If I would put that on it, that's a half ounce. If I'd have put that on 3/8, this dude would have like rode up in the water column. All that extra bulk makes it harder to cast too when you have that much there. So I'm actually gonna I don't know what I'm gonna do with that one. It's just sitting over there out of the way. I'm thinking about taking all those out and just make room for more of my since I have so many jackhammers now. Jackhammers. So many thunder crickets. I was looking at this jackhammer, gonna put him up. Where did he even come from? I think he came out of here. Oh, it's pretty bad when you're like, what hole did that sucker come out of? Any questions? Missile Baits has a spunk shad, goby bite that pairs perfect with it. Yeah, I'll show you. You can barely make them out. I'm trying to duplicate this color again. So I took my baits, if you can see it, that's what color this started out as. And I got them stuffed down in there, and I got a couple different green, like Copper Truce, Z-Man, Zinkers setting around them. I'm hoping to get a little bleed off on that color, because that color on like any of your colors that aren't spot remover, like just a shed color, and that's what I was turning them up on the other day when I had that paired up with it. Just kind of gives you that without needing to change out the skirt kind of thing. But that's the only one I got that's roughly that color, and it's almost too much now. It's just soaked it up so much. I probably ought to take that back out and put it somewhere out of the way where it doesn't suck up any more color of anything on it. But yeah, there's a lot of different options. Like I'd mentioned, if you guys are on a budget and you're like, man, I like the idea of having thunder crickets, but I want half-ounce ones. I'm telling you, if you're used to a half ounce of almost any other brand, the half ounce ones might feel too light. So you might be better off to get these, and you can either cut them down, drill them down yourself, and you don't have to have that bit. You could honestly use a cutoff wheel and just kind of go back and forth. I've done that several times before. Whenever I just didn't want to wait around for my the sanding little wheels. They sometimes can take forever. A cutoff wheel, you can kind of go buzz back and forth, and it'll eat up material. You got to be careful with that. It actually eats it up so quick. If you're not careful enough, you'll end up just jacking up stuff. And like I said, when I cut this down, I didn't go in far enough. Like I didn't, mess with the integrity of anything. So like I didn't even get close to where the hook that runs through, or none of that kind of deal. So definitely doesn't take much to shave them down. If you want to be like me, you could add a little mouth to it to where it looks like it's screaming at you. Cute as a button. All right, gotta go, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. for update on how fishing goes tomorrow, and the computer and rug burn. And do I have anything to talk about rod and reels? No, we covered all that yesterday. If you guys watched that live stream on Fireball Friday night about the rod and reel deals. So yeah, see you later.